Welcome to Ask Gwen, everyone. Today with me, I have Kathy, and I was given this lead by Danielle Coulter and her mom because Kathy is a phenomenal horse trainer, and she's done work with horses for so many years. She finally wrote a book about it, and according to Kathy, I have not read this book, but according to Kathy, it's for all ages through the eyes of a horse. So with that, I will let Kathy take it away.
Well, thanks for having me today, Wen. Excuse me. It's very exciting to be here. Forgive my voice a little bit. I got a little allergies going on. Yay, spring.
Yay.
That's the joy. I have been a professional horse trainer for about the last 3 decades or so. I have been a student of the horse since I was 2.5 when I got my very first pony. He was the first horse I trained. He was the first horse I learned from. He was my first everything when it comes to horses. For about the last 2 decades, I have been working in the field of equine facilitated learning as an educator. So, horse as teacher, that's what I do. I've worked with corporate America. I did that for about a decade with a friend of mine named Andy Burgess and her company called Challenge You. Unfortunately, Andy is no longer with us anymore, but she was amazing at this work and working with teams. So it was a great opportunity for me to bring what I do to corporate America. I also have taught at the college level and worked with veterans. About almost 6 years ago, I was in the middle of treatment for breast cancer, which was a little surprise for me. And about halfway through radiation, I sat down and wrote a story. And this is the story I wrote. It's called Through the Eyes of a Horse. It's about a little girl who goes on her first big adventure with her school, with her class. So they go to a farm and she gets to meet a horse for the very first time. And the story is about her discovering herself. So it's kind of a fun story. I've told it's brought a few tears to a few people, maybe more than a few, in the way that it resonates. And it's based on the encapsulation of several real kids that I've worked with. It's also based on a real horse named Gypsy. She was a real teaching horse that we had.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to talk about it without getting emotional.
Oh.
and I will tell you that that's because I believe so profoundly in the power of the horse to teach and to model and to guide us through some really tough times. So I'm really excited to be here with you today and share a little bit about what I do and my book and all of those things. So
thanks. Well, as you guys probably have figured out, this is going to be a real and a raw episode. And for those of you that don't know, I used to ride in an equine assistance therapy program way back when, and I'm still looking for one down here, down Phoenix, so we're getting close. But for those of you who don't know this, also, insurance doesn't cover these big things. So yeah, insurance is a whole another different kettle of fish when it comes to equine assistant therapy. So what Kathy is doing, and she can correct me if I'm wrong, she's not doing equine assistant therapy per se. She's doing more on ground modalities with the horse. She's not having the kids get up on the horse. She's doing, let's groom the horse, let's get to know the horse, let's with the rest. Because for those of you that don't know, my grandfather was a veteran. He didn't have all the help that we have today. So I am really grateful that there is a way that you don't necessarily have to get up on a horse, but if you want to. I had never, before Danielle gave me the lead, I had never known such of a thing that I thought, oh, get up on a horse, perfectly fine. I didn't know there were different modalities of equine therapy.
Yes, what I do currently and the way I've done the equine facilitated learning programming is ground-based. So it's learning how to groom the horse, it's learning how to connect with the horse, learning how to lead the horse. All of the modalities are designed to learn from the horse on the ground.
Yeah.
There are hundreds, if not thousands of people who have engaged in work with horses that never climb on their back. And that's really, really okay. We don't have to ride a horse to learn from a horse. This is very much about heart-to-heart connection and really learning how to see ourselves through how the horses see us, which is in a completely non-judgmental, 100% accepting way. And I think there's huge value in that. We've stepped away from the dominance modality. So what we do with horses for the most part in this field doesn't look anything like what you see in the movies, which is the breaking the horses and all of that. It's very much about consensual leadership. So invitation to lead, invitation to follow, and really learning how to co-create with another sentient being. And it's very empowering, not just for the relationship with the horse, not just for the individual engaging with the horse in these ways, but also for all the other people that our participants get to come in contact with. It's a really powerful way of personal growth and development and self-discovery.
Now, I'm wondering, and I'll do my own research, you guys, that, and I'm wondering how many equine assistant therapy programs, and you may not know the answer to this, Kath, but how many equine assistant therapy programs have this modality built into them so that we don't have kids and adults with cerebral palsy? And I admit, I'll share a story with you guys later that I admit I'm a little freaked out of horses because I got bucked. And that is the scariest moment of your life when you realize, and luckily I have good core strength, I still do. So me and the horses do get along, but in a sense we don't. So I'm wondering, and I'll do research and I'll ask a friend of mine who actually helps to run a horse program out here. I'm wondering how many equine assistant programs have the modality you're speaking of.
Well, I don't know the actual number of that. What I can tell you is there are several different approaches in ground-based programming. There is a specific approach that is strictly therapeutic, which is referred to as EGALA, and it is utilized with a therapist and a horse specialist, and they utilize the horses in therapy, in a therapeutic modality, in a counseling modality.
Yeah.
And oftentimes they're separate programs, although we are starting to see that added into traditional therapeutic riding programs. They're starting to add some of these components, recognizing that not everybody wants to ride a horse, or it's not appropriate for everybody to attempt to climb on the back of a horse, and that's okay. What I do is education-based, which means that I do not provide therapy, as it were. What I do provide is learning and education and opportunity. And whatever each person learns or takes away from the session is up to them, which I think is a key component when you talk about personal growth and self-discovery done with the horses. One of the great aspects also of the ground-based format is that we're a place for horses to land that cannot be ridden anymore, that could never be ridden or have been forced into retirement. So they get to continue having careers and engaging with people. And they are a family-based species, a connection-based species. So they want to continue that engagement with humans.
Yeah.
So it's an important outlet and opportunity for horses to continue having quality of life as they age and retire.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. The horse that I got, unfortunately, almost bucked off of. If I wasn't, I didn't have my wits about me, you guys. But unfortunately, these horses are big, and unfortunately, this horse was already 10 years old when I met him. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, not the greatest tool in the box, or not the greatest tool in the shed. But they don't typically, for equine therapy, of course, the horses are trained to,
Yes.
and ground-based therapy, it's the same thing. The horses are trained.
The horses are trained, yes.
Gentle giants, but in equine therapy, the horses are trained to do what they can. In ground-based therapy, the horses are trained to do. So now I have a question for you.
Okay.
What has been your favorite experience doing ground-based therapy with horses? What has been your favorite experience?
Whoa. Well, when, geez, it feels like I'm on Barbara Walters or something, and you're going to make me cry. I will tell you that I'm very connected to this work. And I have to come from an emotion-based place and actually care about what I do to do what I do for a living. So I get to have tears, but I'm not ashamed of those. I actually find tears really, really powerful. Emotion speaks very much about where we're at in our life. And I think it's a powerful gift that we have. And I can't narrow it down to a singular thing. I wish I could, but I can't. Every experience that I get to be a part of when it's somebody with a horse is powerful and has an impact, not just on them, but on me too. I've learned from every session I've ever done, which is really in a lifetime is a pretty amazing gift, because I don't just get to have horses as teachers, but I also get to have hundreds of other humans as teachers too, with little moments. And so I wish I had just one individual story that I could pull out, but I don't. I have as many highlights from my career so far as there are stars in the sky.
And let's talk about the nitty-gritty here. What has, if you don't mind me asking,
Sure.
And low light in this Cleo video doing ground-based therapy?
So what is a low light?
What are the low lights of? And I'm asking that question for someone who may want to go into this, who has a horse and thinking, oh, equine assisted therapy may be too much for me. This may be a start for me to have a horse that is trained in ground-based therapy. And so I'm asking for the nitty-gritty. What are the hardest challenges that you will like to walk away from and say, I never want to do this again?
Well, it's interesting. I had this conversation with my nephew some years ago, and he kind of bought into the idea that if you work at something that is your passion, if your job is something that you love, you never work another day in your life. And I call BS on that. I don't think that's true at all. I think a job is a job. So I get to have hard days and I get to have easy days, and I get to have days that I'm just like, this is too much. My schedule is too much. It's too hard. I've parted with horses. I've been there when they've transitioned across the rainbow. There's hard days that are big responsibilities that we have to be a part of. And it's important that I'm there for those moments. But because I love what I do, and because I am a lifelong student of the horse, it gives me the strength and the courage and the curiosity and the wherewithal to get up and go again the next day. So that I think you have to have the passion and the curiosity and the desire to continue being a part of the work and to be there for the really, really hard days, and they catch you off guard. And some days you want to walk away. How can you not? It's a job. You know, we all get to have those days. And it can be a huge financial commitment, and it takes hard work and a lot of effort to get the kind of education you need. And that doesn't stop people from hanging a shingle and saying, hey, I'm qualified in doing this work. That actually makes it really hard for those of us that work really hard at getting educated.
Yeah.
I've studied, I've been doing this field for 2 decades. I've taught people how to do this kind of work. I have a master's degree in education with an emphasis on equestrian education. I've worked hard and spent lots of money to become a professional in my field and develop some expertise. And so I think it takes a lot of commitment and a lot of hard work.
And then you'll have, someone told me once when I was rock climbing, they said, when you could do me a huge favor, tell those people that like to watch YouTube and think, oh, I'll do that based off YouTube. Tell those people no, talk to professionals, and that would make my job a heck of a lot easier. And that impacted me, and I would still like to swim all the rock climbing wall. My God, but I just have to find the one down here. But that piece of advice, he said, if you take anything away from these lessons, which were wonderful, by the way, he said, when you talk about rock climbing, talk about it in a way that you say to people, go with the professionals. Don't look up ground-based therapy, my PSA now, don't look up ground-based therapy, you guys, for horses on YouTube. Talk to the professionals.
Yes.
Don't, because there's a lot more work than we know that goes into any job. So have the informational interviews of what it's really like.
Yes, that is very, very true. I've been a professional horse trainer for decades, and I will tell you that as a professional trainer who would take horses and train them to be ridden, or retrain them to be ridden in certain ways, or to be appropriate for different types of riders. I worked as a professional trainer. I showed professionally. I did all of those things. One of my biggest challenges for a big chunk of my career was the evolution and the discovery of YouTube, everybody posting videos, and this idea that you could watch someone do something with a horse on a screen and then replicate it, because it's not possible. Horses are sentient beings. They're thinking, breathing, processing beings. So you're working with another sentient being. It's 2 sentient beings together, co-creating and learning. And so it's all about like language and connection and co-creation, and knowledge and technique. And it's interesting. I will tell you, there's no such thing as a horse whisperer. That was really popular languaging. There's only horse listeners. That's our job, is to listen.
Because the Horse Whisperer movie.
Yes.
The only horse listeners. And horses can pick up your vibes. I mean, if I stalled into a barn by now, I could get myself up on a horse with help, but horses can really pick up whether you're calm or anxious around it. And unfortunately, my biological mom, who also had asthma, God love her, she was nervous around horses. And so the horses picked up on that. They were like, okay. And she would drop me off at horseback riding. And I'm like, you're not welcome. And there are days I wanted to tell my mom to go away because I'm like, horse, you don't get along. Horse was big, she knew it. And so horse and human did not get along, but horse and daughter got along with me. With I think that's a really good thing to know, that the person who's with you doing this ground-based training or equine therapy, the person who's with you, they have to be as calm as you are with the horse.
Well, here's a great added piece of information for you, Wynn. We have science to back this up now with the idea of the occurrence of neuropeptides. We've talked about information receptors now being discovered at a higher occurrence in the actual physical heart and the gut than in our brain itself. And these are information receptors, right? This is how we receive information, and we receive it energetically. And that information rises up. One of the great things about horses is that they have them too. And so they pick up on and feel and recognize. And it's one of the ways that they take in information and communicate.
Yeah.
And what we now know, and one of the things that I teach actually, is that how you feel doesn't matter to the horse. Whether or not you're emotionally congruent or in alignment is what matters to the horse. And I'll give you an example if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So one of the ways we teach this idea of emotional congruence or alignment, so the idea of not wearing a mask around the horse, as we talk about predators. So in the wild, in the natural environment, a herd of horses might be pursued by a mountain lion.
Yeah.
Right. So the horses can pick up on that mountain lion approaching at quite the distance. They do it visually and energetically. They're designed for this at this point through evolution. And what's been discovered and recorded and seen on videotape, and what we've been able to repeat with the horses, is that what we notice is that a mountain lion, when he has a full belly, is completely congruent. He's not trying to pretend to get closer to the herd to get a meal, right? He can just walk through the herd and they might scatter a little bit, but no big deal. A mountain lion that's looking for a meal has a completely different energy, and there's a masking energy to it. He's being stealthy and stocky. And so he's pretending on the outside that he's not hungry and that he's not looking for a meal, but on the inside, that's exactly what he's doing, right? So there's a mismatch. We know the horses pick up on the mismatch. And this is what occurs with humans. So humans can bring themselves into alignment or congruence simply by acknowledging them to themselves how they're feeling. And we see this vicious cycle oftentimes because, the old wives' tale is never let a horse know you're afraid.
Yeah.
But the horse doesn't actually care. They care that there's mismatch. So people will approach a horse, they'll be afraid, and they'll pretend or wear a mask of confidence. So what occurs is that their physical dynamics and their energetic mismatch put out a different kind of energy. So the horse just goes, that's not safe.
Yeah.
So the human will be all tense and mismatched. And so the horse will elevate their energy slightly and tense up because there's a mismatch with the human. Yeah. The human will pick up on that and they'll be like, whoa, dude. Oh, I was right. That horse is scary and big and dangerous. So I'm going to pretend to be even more confident. So the horse picks up on the stronger masking. And so the horse even heightens a little bit more. So he's like, oh man, I was right. This person is mismatched. In my world, that's a threat. I need to prepare to flee. Right. So it becomes a vicious cycle. All that really needs to occur is for the human to acknowledge to themselves. So just whisper in their own brain, oh my gosh, you are so big and I am so scared right now. What if you step on my foot?
Yeah.
And that alignment allows the horse to go, oh, you're congruent, no big deal. And they shift and relax, and it changes the dynamic completely.
See,
and it's a really powerful tool, which, by the way, humans get to use this tool also, because we as a species pick up on incongruence too. We pick up on that mismatch all the time.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Do we ever?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Situation going, well, I had a situation going on. This situation keeps evolving itself, but I picked up on a mismatch of a care provider towards me, and I'm like, oh boy, this is not going to work. I felt it in my energy and the stuff she was saying, and it turned out that it wasn't going to work. But humans, like horses, are sentient beings, and they
Yes.
can pick up energy like there's no tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We have the same sensing organisms in our body. We have those neopeptides, the information receptors. We experience affect contagion. If I yawned right now, you would probably yawn, right? Affect contagion.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a catching of energy.
I said to someone the other day, thank you very much. I said to someone, you do know yawning is contagious.
Yeah.
What? And
yeah,
I said, because you yawn at the table, now I'm yawning, and they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I said, yawning is contagious. And so we
Yeah.
had a good conversation about that, but
And so is laughter, by the way.
yeah, laughter is.
Yeah, laughter and tears. And yeah, we experience life through connection. And we do that energetically too. Yeah, absolutely. Us and the horses.
Us and the horses. So, Kathy, I know you're based in Kansas City, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And
yes.
Where can people find you? Where can people, I guess they can Google ground-based therapy. And of course, where can people find your book?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I have a website, www.cathyhuddleston.com. You can just Google me, Cathy Huddleston. There's a link on my website to my book. It goes straight to my publisher, and the book can be published through there. You can also find it on any other format. It's in pre-sale mode right now. It launches on May 10th. And that means it's globally available through Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, you name it. If you Google my name, Catherine Huddleston, or Through the Eyes of a Horse, that book by me, it's easily findable on all of those platforms globally. It's available.
How cool is that? So,
yeah.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed another fabulous episode. I hope you guys enjoyed learning about ground-based therapy, and I hope you guys enjoy your day. Thanks, you guys. Bye, you guys.
Thanks, Wen.